Everyone Jesus changed had to leave something behind. And too often we want God to change our circumstances, but we don't want to change the behavior that got us into the circumstance that we want God to change. It's about to go deep. Y'all put on some scuba gear. I don't want nobody to drown up in here. We want God to change our circumstances, but not change us. We want to be blessed, delivered, and set free, but don't want to give up any of our vices, any of our habits, any of our activities. We want God to bless us in our mess. Bless us with our bad attitude. Bless us with our nasty ways. Bless us with our bad habits. Bless us while we're stingy. Bless us while we're selfish. Bless us while we're stuck up. Bless us while we mistreat folk. Bless us while we talk crazy. Bless us while we're disrespectful, while we're disobedient, while we're disloyal. We want God to bless us without us having to make any sacrifice, without us having to give up anything. But I got news for you. Everybody Jesus changed had to leave something behind. The lepers had to leave their social isolation. The lame man had to leave his bed behind, had to leave his mat. The blind beggar had to leave his cloak. The mute man had to leave his stammering tongue. The demoniac had to leave legion behind. The hungry had to leave their hunger. The dead had to leave their grave behind. The hurting folk had to leave all that hurt behind. Broken folk had to leave their brokenness behind. Sinful folk had to leave their sin behind. We often teach and preach and talk about miracles that Jesus wrought when he physically healed somebody. But notice, if you will, in every single text somewhere within the synoptic gospels, it does not just talk about him healing their physical infirmities, because he's a holistic God. He doesn't just deal with your physicality without dealing with your spirituality. When he dealt with the woman, come on, somebody who was caught in the act of adultery, he said, now go, sin no more. Come on, every time he blessed somebody, they had to leave something behind. Sinful folk had to leave their sin behind, and the Samaritan woman left behind her water pot. It seems obvious that we would have to leave behind some old stuff in order to move forward. But are we willing to leave our baggage behind to experience a real change? I submit to you, my sisters and brothers, too many folk want his touch, but don't want to change. Too many in the modern church just want to come and shout, have a good time, go in, but don't want to be challenged to stretch, to give up some stuff, to change some stuff. But if all you get is his touch, but don't hear his word, you won't be transformed. We want some things to change, but we don't change. We don't want to give up the stuff that makes us feel good. God help me preach in here today. We want the blessing, but we don't want to give up Shafika. We go, oh God. We want God's blessing, but we don't want to kick Tyrone out the house. Y'all won't help a brother preaching here tonight. We want God's blessing, but we want to hold on to all of our stuff. got a news flash. God is not after just blessing us. He's after changing us. As a matter of fact, God would rather keep the blessing and work on us because God is after our life. God don't care nothing about you driving a fancy car, wearing fancy jewelry. God is interested and concerned about transforming our life so that when people see us, they can see a change in our attitude, a change in our activity, a change in our taste, a change in our surrounding, a change in how we walk, a change in how we talk. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. We want salvation, but not conversion. We want to be in Jesus, but not have Jesus in us. We want the miracle, but not the maturity. We want the touch, but we don't want to be transformed. See, we've messed up the concept of being Christian because we think being Christian is just about speaking in tongues and the kind of clothes that we wear, going to our conferences, wearing our big hats, having long church and going in. But that ain't what being Christian is. Being Christian is submitting further to the will of God to the extent that we begin to separate ourselves from the stuff that we know won't edify us or give glory to our God. I told y'all this ain't a shouting message tonight, but we can't go in church and then put the hip-hop wives with all that cussing on in our house and then want to slap Johnny when he start cussing and he learned it in your house. No, this ain't about speaking in tongues in here. No. This is just a filling station. This is where we gas up, but we drive out there. We come in here to worship. We go out there to live and to serve. If the only place you're saved is in here, you need to take a trip down here to the altar. I don't know why God got me here tonight. Oh, but there ought to be a difference. I'm not trying to take us back. I'm trying to take us forward. But the old saints knew something that we don't have sense enough to know with our MDivs and PhDs and all our degrees and all our book sense and our seminary training. They knew that there ought to be a difference between right and wrong, saved and unsaved, profane and sacred. They understood that there ought to be a separation. There ought to be a difference. God wants to transform us. So the Samaritan woman left a water pot behind. Somebody might say, that ain't no big deal. Oh, but it is. Because leaving her water pot behind meant that she got so caught up in God's purpose that she forgot her original plan. She didn't come to the well to talk to Jesus. She didn't go to the well to discuss religion. She didn't go to the well to shoot the breeze with this Jewish guy that she didn't even know. She went to the well for one purpose, and that was to get some water. But after she met Jesus, she left her plans behind. She came for some ordinary liquid and left with extraordinary life. My sisters and my brothers, once you meet Jesus, my final point, you got to learn how to leave your plans behind. You see, she came to fill up a jar, but Jesus filled her up instead. She came as a water carrier, but she left as a gospel carrier. If we are ever going to truly follow God, we've got to leave behind our plans and follow God's purpose. We may be seeking a message, but God is trying to give us a miracle. We might be in church looking for a spouse, but God is trying to give us salvation. We may be planning revenge, but God is preparing us for reconciliation.